Isn't this, like, I don't know, have we ever done a presentation like this? Certainly not in my 2 years that I've been here. Did we all come together, Guilford and West, like this in such great numbers for a presentation. So this is special for me. It's clearly and obviously it's a tradition. It's something that we do every year. This year is a little bit sweeter for me in a way because there's somebody very special to me who's here also in attendance. I want to introduce somebody who's very important to me, and that's my daughter. She's right over here. Avalie, stand up. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to embarrass you. This is Avalie. Okay, you can sit down now. And, you know, Avalie, we call her Avi for short. She said to me recently, she's getting her associate's degree. She's getting her associate's degree currently, and she said, you know, Dad, I think I might want to do what you do for a living. And I said, boy, I have just the meeting for you to attend. We'll see. We'll see. You know, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. You know, there's sometimes you have to deliver information like this as well. With that being said, though, I think the appropriate thing to do right now would be to take a moment of silence to center ourselves. I certainly will be doing that, and I hope that you will join me. Thank you. And I'll also ask, if you will, please take a moment to check your cell phones. I'll do the same. I'll join you. You never want to be that person, you know, with the phone's going off, right? So go ahead and hit the silence button. Okay. I hope that you're well-fed and well-rested for this. Everybody buckle up. We've got a couple slides here. We intentionally made it a little warmer, just to hopefully lull you to sleep. So here's our agenda. This is something that we do every year. For those who are new here, we cover this every year. My goal is to discuss the budget strategy with you. We're going to review the current market data. This all plays together, and I like for folks to have information. How did we get here? What's driving this? I'm, of course, going to share the monthly service fee increase. I'm sorry. We're going to reveal some exciting budgetary plans. That's part of this, is, you know, your budget, it contributes to everything we do here. And so there's some nice things happening and planned for you. And I thought we'd do something that we didn't do last year. I feel like we should have, but we're going to do it this year. We're going to celebrate some success. A lot of people work hard throughout the year to ensure the success of this community. And I want to recognize some of the staff and some of the projects that were completed over the year, and I think it's worth celebrating. How does that sound? That's a good plan? Okay. We're going to keep tabs on this microphone. If it doesn't cooperate, we're going to switch it. I'll ask for somebody to walk up and give me theirs. Okay. So to begin, what is our budgeting focus? I want you to know our heart. I want you to know our priorities. I want you to know what we start out with when we begin creating our budget. Number one, good stewardship. We also want to create something that continues to be affordable for folks. We always focus on safety and security of our residents. That is a priority. And sustainability when it comes to programs, programming, things that we put in place, not only for our residents, but also for our staff. It needs to be sustainable through time. We don't want something to fizzle out. And then we also want to be sustainable as it pertains to, you know, our environment if we can. We want to seek good value. People have asked me many times, Jordan, what is your goal? My goal for this community is that when you think about your time at friends' homes, you say, you know, that's a good value. And that's different for everybody. Okay, what's important for one person is not important to others, potentially, or it may be. But we want everybody to feel a sense of good value. We want you to have peace of mind. This year's a little different because we're master planning. You all heard about our master plan. Well, we're going to continue to spend the next year and beyond master planning. And so that plays into our decisions, especially when it comes to timelines and when we should do something, how much of something we should do, how much should we invest. And then, of course, we always want to consider stakeholder feedback. So who are our stakeholders? Our stakeholders are the residents. Our stakeholders are the staff. Our stakeholders are the families of all these people. And we can even extend that to the outward community, vendors, and so on and so forth. So we want to consider, as much as reasonable and possible, all of our stakeholders and decisions that we make. And our goal is to make the best use of resources, right? We have a finite amount of resources. How can we maximize them? We want to address the needs of our community. We want to meet the needs of all the stakeholders. We want to respond appropriately to market conditions, which are ever-changing, of course. And I see somebody taking pictures. Just know we are recording, and this will be on Icon. We want to equip departments properly for sustained success. Just mentioned that. Ultimately, we want to achieve high satisfaction. Again, you're going to hear a theme, high satisfaction. We want to, that applies to our employees. That applies to our residents. It applies to our stakeholders. We want to be known for high satisfaction. And so, what do? Well, we look at the current year's budget. We look at the current year's spending. We see how those patterns played out over the year. We look at trends, and then we look at projections for the upcoming year. We get a lot of projections from agencies, municipalities, utilities, taxes, things like that. We can sort of, we try to get as close as we can to predicting what's going to happen in the future. Not always perfect. It's a very imperfect science. We look at our programming. We say, what are we planning to do for the upcoming year? Where will we expand? Where will we contract? We look at staff schedules and wages. We create a spreadsheet for every single employee that we have, when they were hired, what they're earning, what's their position, and how will their wages be affected with an upcoming budget change. We look for reductions. We look for efficiency. We look for savings. And we look at needs versus wants. Needs are very important. So are wants. Okay? And we try to balance both of those things in a responsible and appropriate way. We consider resident feedback that we are collecting throughout the year, sometimes in one-off meetings, one-on-one, walking down the hall, or informal meetings, small groups, large groups, meetings like this. We try to keep those bits of feedback in mind as we create plans. And then we also have to look at census trends. Current census, the market, what do we expect for the upcoming year as far as move-ins go, and what we're going to charge for apartments that become available over the year. Because census drives what? Pop quiz. Census drives revenue. Okay, and then once we take all that information and put it into our budget tool, we have to make the requests for each department, each line item. Every little thing that we do, we have to make requests for, and then we have to defend it. Why do you need that? Explain what you're purchasing and why you need it, and how often you need it. Why do you need it that often? Why do you need that much? And so it's meticulous. That starts with the managers to their staff, then the managers to the director, and then the director to me, and then me to the executives, and then the executives to the board with the ultimate packaged budget. And we look at all these categories: supplies, reductions, census, program changes, cost increases. It's a process that begins around April, and it doesn't end until September with the final approvals. So every year, we face these headwinds. You rarely see things like food, insurance, labor, utilities, taxes, or supplies going down, right? It's the same in your own household, right? What are we managing here? We're managing a business that truly is a great big household, if you think about it, right? Everything that you incurred, we incurred. And so we are seeing inflation in these categories. And the labor market, it's a good thing that unemployment is low and going lower. But it is a challenge for us because that means that the pool of available staff has shrunk. And in order to recruit them, it costs more. We look at training, and what do we need to do to keep people well trained and in compliance? And of course, benefits in healthcare, and we're going to talk about that because that's been a theme all year. This shouldn't be a surprise to you, but benefits in healthcare drive a lot of what we do in our budget. Wages, cost of living, and then competition. There's a lot of competition out there, and we seek to remain in front. And something that's very important to be aware of is expectations. Do you ever see expectations going down? They never go down. They're always going up. And we have to be acutely aware of that as a management team, because that will continue to evolve and expectations will grow. It's not just from our residents, it's from our staff. Staff are increasingly expecting more from their employer. And ultimately, we need to create value again for everyone involved. So, let's look at some data. I actually plugged this into an AI tool, artificial intelligence. I said, show me a picture of residents in a senior community getting excited over data. Nailed it! I even made Adley laugh just then. So let's look at some data. I want you to be aware of what's happening in the outside market. This is the same data points that I presented to you last year, just updated to this year's numbers. Soft service wages, that's janitors, landscapers, security staff, clerical staff. We have a lot of those here. They've risen 3.2% and 12% over the last few years. Hard service wages, building maintenance staff, environmental support staff, plus 3.9%. And over the last 3 years, 14.6%. And in food service, which is a large department for us, especially when you consider not just independent living, but all of our healthcare venues, it's a pretty big group. They've risen 3.1% and 12.7% over the last 3 years. You can see the average, you can sort of average the number in your head of the last 3 years and what that number is, and it's significant. Now, I didn't put in the nursing staff, but it's a similar number. It's actually higher than the three and change. And it's because the pool is much, much smaller, and it's a specialized group of staff when you consider nurses. Over the next few years, there's estimated to be, I think I saw 199,000 nursing, a shortage of 199,000 nurses. That's not a small number. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop over the years to come, knowing that. And we look at food. Food is a big driver of our budget, right? And it's also one of the most important things to the folks that live here. Fair to say? We love food. Coffee's up 20%. These are just some examples. Beef and veal, 13.9%. Eggs, remember that egg shortage? We still have issues with eggs. Can I try another microphone? Hopefully this one works a little better. How's that? Can you hear me? Yeah. Great. Apples. I don't know if we do a lot of apples around here, do we? I don't know. But condiments, I'm sure we do, ketchup and mustard and things like that. This is just to illustrate what's happening in the market. Now let's look at Greensboro. In 2024, unemployment was 5.2%. 2025, it's gone down to 4.4%. What do you think 2026 will do? I don't know, but it looks like it's headed down. I love these two data points. A $10 item in 2020 cost $13 today. It's not that long ago. But you can see that rates are going up. So at Friends Homes, there's a number of drivers that we see in our budget? Where are we seeing increases? Well, wages. Wages make up the majority of our budget, just in general. Wages and then benefits. Benefits have been trailing behind budget, or I should say over budget, all year long. Despite our estimates last year, we've just seen spikes in insurance coverage costs. The upcoming year, we had to make an adjustment because we knew that that was going to continue to a certain degree. And so you can't stick your head in the sand. You have to address it. You have to budget for it. And so you see a 41% increase. Big number. Utilities, 5 to 11%, raw food, 2%, which I actually was surprised by that. I thought it would be more. Property and liability insurance, 1%, general ops, 0 to 3%. And I think this is something, I'm going to be honest, residents focus on this. And they say, well, you're doing too much of this, or you're doing too much of that, you shouldn't be. It's a very small percentage of our budget when you think about an activity supply, or copier paper, or now I understand death by 1,000 cuts. I understand that all adds up, but I'd like you to keep it in perspective in comparison to the huge drivers that are facing our community. Make sense? And then entrance fees. One of the ways that we can accommodate for increases in our expenses is through revenue. And so we look at our entrance fees sometimes and we say, can we push the rate to the outside market, people who haven't moved in yet? Should we charge a little bit more to earn a little more revenue to offset our community expenses? Does that make sense? Okay. And so we have done that with certain apartments that we know are very popular. The market has responded very well to them, and there's wait lists for them. We feel like we can charge a little bit more to offset your current residents' expenses. And here's another AI image. Show me a senior citizen who's crunching the numbers and wondering what's next. So what does this mean for you as residents? Well, let's look at the rate increase history. Okay? Historical fact. In 2023, the residents' rate increase was 7%. In 2024, it went down to 5.75%. In 2025, it went down again to 4.5%. And in 2026, the number goes down yet again to 4.25%. Okay. Thank you. You've been a great audience. Have a good day. So just to illustrate, our trending. This is a good story, I think, to tell, because we have big plans for next year. And despite those big plans, we're able to influence a lower trend in your rate increase. So let's go into what's driving our rate increase of 4.25%. Well, we're able to minimize some of the expense through independent living census. We've done well over the last year, and the last 2 years, last 3 years. I would say, if I was to label this community, I'd say we're a successful community. We're a happy community. People want to live here. We think that will continue over the coming year. And so you see, we go from a budget of 92% to 95%. Now that's lofty. We got to sell a lot of units. We're really going to make Wendy work hard and her team. And we have to renovate the units quickly to get them in here. But we think we can do it. Same goes for assisted living. We run pretty high in occupancy in assisted living, and we're going to push that. This is all based off of historical trends. So we didn't just come up with these numbers. We looked at what we've been doing, and we flipped them into the next year. That applies to a drop in skilled nursing census. The reality is today we have 9 open units in Juniper. 9 open units in Juniper. That's where our greatest opportunity is. That's also why you see us painting in there and fixing it up and changing how we serve and improving the respite program because we want to give it some attention. So much so that we're actually hiring somebody to focus on healthcare related sales so we can keep those beds occupied because we believe that it's money well spent that provides actual mitigation of rising fees elsewhere. So I mentioned the increase. What does that look like? Well, did you know that we are a over $40 million operation? I know that some of you knew that, but I think it's good that everybody knows. We're running a $40 million operation. We've gone from 39.7 million to 40.8 in revenue. And our expenses do go up as well. We're running about 39 million in expenses, and you can see the difference in the categories right here. Our gain from operations. Now you'll notice our gain from operations goes down a little bit in 2026, and we're trying to be careful. We don't want to go crazy with the gain. So we're trying to keep your fees at a reasonable level. Net non-operating expenses are things like your depreciation and amortization. It's a little bit less controllable from an operations standpoint. These are accounting functions that we do. So modest increases, they actually lead to big money for our community, a difference of 1.7 million. We're planning to spend just over $5 million in reinvestment into the community through CapEx projects, capital expenditures. I'll tell you about some of them in just a minute. Entry fee receipts are projected to be 6.9 million. We believe that we will renovate 47 units in the upcoming year. That's a lot of renovations. And that's a lot of people who will move in as a result of those renovations. We'll be welcoming at least 47 new people to our community. But remember, there's couples, right? So could be a lot more people, a lot of new neighbors and friends. Our budgeted debt service coverage ratio is 2.26. That's our ability to pay our debt just over 2 times if we need to. And our budgeted days cash on hand is 703. Both these metrics came down slightly year over year, but they're still very, very healthy metrics, and they're far beyond other industry benchmarks for a Fitch BBB- rated community such as ours. Okay, so we're very, very strong. In some cases, twice as strong. Now, I don't expect you to read this. I think it might be a little hard. It's a little granular, but maybe at home when we post this, you can take a look. A resident trustee asked us in the budget presentation at our board meeting, they said, what is driving these rate increases? And we talked about them. But this is a pie graph that illustrates it in great detail. I mentioned earlier wages and staff. Staff play a huge role. And you can see that. Almost half of our budget is driven by labor, benefits, wages. Depreciation and amortization is just something you do. You spread out the cost of your purchases over the useful life. You spread out the cost of the services over a certain amount of time. That's what that is. It's not the fun aspect of our business unless you're an accountant, but it's something that you do. Interest expense is similar. Bond interest, our utilities 4.5%, raw food 5.5% as a category of our budget. And if you look at the departments, the different departments, and what comprises our budget, look at nursing. Healthcare is a huge part of our business. I mean, you could live anywhere. You could live in any house probably, right? But one of the reasons why you chose to move to Friends Homes is because of the promise of healthcare, right? That's what sets us apart. You could live in a house somewhere, maybe there's a country club that has a dining program, right? They don't have healthcare. They can't provide that peace of mind. Well, you have to pay for that peace of mind. And it's in the form of 18% of your budget. Is it worth it? I think it is. I do think it is. because you don't need it till you need it. Dining services, 17%. Maintenance, 8.8%. Maintenance in this community, I think, is huge. You can talk about peace of mind. Knowing that you need something, our crew shows up, takes care of it. So this just illustrates where the money is going, really. Now, we talked about the monthly service fee increases. Last year, we made some changes to our ancillary fees as well. Most of your ancillary fees are service-related, labor-related, resource-related, and so our ancillary fees will change as well. And I'm going to show you this. This will come in a letter to you, but this is a menu which is identical to what you have currently. And then we see the 2025 rate versus the 2026 rate. Generally, each category just goes up a couple bucks. And it keeps pace with 4%, 4.25%, excuse me. We round it down in most categories so that we have whole numbers. It's just easier for everybody. But we're really just trying to cover the true cost of ancillary fees. And questions have come up about the dining plan. Last year, we didn't touch it. I don't think we touched it for about 2 years. We just felt like you've been through enough change, and we didn't need to get another change. But we do feel like we're at a point where we do need to adjust your allowance or your service credits. And so we're doing that. So there's a lot of folks who are on an original contract. You've been here for a number of years, and you signed a contract. You see there in red, if you signed your contract before February 1st of 2020, this applies to you. We're increasing your dining dollars to $14.60 per quarter. Of the $14.60, you can dedicate $184 to guests. To be clear, this is not $184 in addition. I want to be very, very clear. It's not extra. It's part of the $14.60. Okay? I believe it's been $150. So we increased your allowance for your guests. Okay? Menu items, in some cases, or many, I don't know, have gone up a little bit. We felt like we needed to increase your ability to purchase. On the new contract, contracts that are effective after February 1st of 2020, hopefully you know who you are. You receive service credits, and those service credits can be used for food or can be used for service. Transportation, extra maintenance, extra housekeeping, things like that. So yours are going up as well, as you can see there. All right, this will all come in a letter to you. So, you can reach out with questions if you have any, but everything's going up. Your purchasing power has been increased as of January 1st. Okay, we've made it through the budget data and details. Now, I want you to know what our focus is. We started out with our heart. I want you to know that affordability, sustainability, all those things that I mentioned to you, that's what's at the front of our heart. So what's management focusing on over the year? Good customer service. That's our number one goal. I mentioned it earlier, I'll say it again. Responsiveness and collaboration with residents. Collaboration is a big word. This doesn't mean that we will always agree. Okay? There's times where we just won't. But I think we have a responsibility as a team, management and residents, to work together, to share dialogue, to present requests, challenges, needs, and to allow for responses on both sides of the aisle. Visibility. This came up loud and clear in our survey from residents a few years ago before I came here, but folks would say, look, we want to see the managers more. And so that needs to continue. Consistency in dining. Ugh. Oh, man. No, come on now. I think we've made some headway. I think we have some momentum. Dining is almost like collaboration. Look, we're not always going to be perfect. It's not a straight road. And dining is like art. Everyone's a critic, right? We all, your wife made it a certain way and you loved it, and we don't make it that way. Your mom made it a certain way and you loved it. We don't make it that way. That's not Southern. You don't know what Southern is. I heard at church, my pastor said, you need to know something. Macaroni and cheese is a vegetable. I said, oh, okay. We want to focus on quality programs and service. I stand here today and I say fully confident that our programs have never been better. I believe that. We've never had more and we've never had better programs. Now, what do I base it on? I don't know. I've only been here 2 years. I just feel that way, and I get a lot of feedback from residents. I get a lot of feedback from residents. Now, there's always folks that, they're going to be hard to satisfy no matter what you do. But I think that we're headed in the right direction with programming and activities. Does anybody agree? Does anybody disagree? Just kidding. We want to be fiscally responsible. We always have to keep our eye on the budget. We have to make decisions. We always have to balance need and want. We realize that. And some people are going to agree with what we consider to be fiscally responsible. Some people are going to disagree. It's just going to happen in a community like this. It happens in a lot of businesses. It applies to both residents and staff. No matter what we're doing, you can see how all these categories, if you think about it, if you were an employer, was there anybody here that was an employer of people? Wouldn't you agree that these same things apply? When you talk about being fiscally responsible, having quality programs, being responsive and being collaborative? I think it does. So we do want to invest in our employees. We believe that a lot flows out of happy employees, right? When it comes to service delivery. We're going to continue the household model transition. We've been talking about this over the year in depth. This is a process. It doesn't just happen. You don't flip a switch and boom, you've got the household model. It takes a lot of time. We're going to continue the One Healthcare Department emphasis. That is in full swing. We're seeing the benefits of that in so many different ways, and we're just going to continue that momentum. Something that's exciting that you probably aren't aware of, and I want you to be acutely aware of, is that we have dedicated funds, actually through our charity funds, to go towards a CNA training institute. Okay? We're going to, good, thank you. If you're not excited about that, I want to encourage you to think about it a little bit. We're going to be growing our own. We're going to be growing our own CNAs. We're going to have people that join us through this program, and they get trained, and we will have the opportunity, hopefully, to sort of pick the best ones to come work for Friends Homes. We're going to offer this training at no cost to them. We're going to offer the testing at no cost to them. We're going to have instructors on staff that are funded through charity funds. So instead of going to some charity funds going to an outside agency that we may or may not ever see a benefit from, we're actually using those funds, which ultimately come from residents, to reinvest in our community. This is a really exciting thing. We'll have instructors, we'll have classroom, supplies, we will be educating folks, and hopefully they will be beginning a career at Friends Homes that lasts a long time. And then that might not happen. For some, they might leave us, but we're hoping that we are able to reinvest in the community in a meaningful way. This is new and exciting for us. We Care, employee satisfaction surveys. We implemented just recently an employee satisfaction program where we are, through the beauty of technology, surveying our staff routinely. Once they're hired, a few days after, a few weeks after, and then every year, or sometimes twice a year. So we always have our finger on the pulse with what our employees are thinking. It's not every employee, it's sections of employees. So we will always have real-time data. Now this costs money in order for us to do this, but it sure beats a once-a-year survey, which is a flash in the pan for some people. This is real-time data at all times at our fingertips. Very exciting for the directors and the managers. The Kintura Inspire Academy. We are sending a handful of employees in this upcoming year to the Kintura Inspire Academy. This is where we take young, well, it doesn't have to be young, aspiring employees, aspiring leaders, and we put them through an 8-month program. And we teach them management skills. We provide them opportunities to learn and grow. They visit all of our communities. They work with coaches, some of which I can't announce who yet, but there will be people from this team and from other teams at the other communities as coaches working with these leaders, because that's what we're trying to develop. Leaders of the future, growing from within, investing in our people, the people we know, and seeing them expand. It's very exciting for me, and I hope for you as well. So we'll be growing our talent from within. We want to address dining team turnover, right? Now, in our industry, we rely on students for a lot in the dining rooms. We're going to see turnover. But we also want to look at leadership. We need to be stable from a leadership perspective so that we can build on our culture and create a culture of retention. We've actually attached goals to our dining leaders where they're held accountable for the performance of retention. So we're going to be paying close attention to that. What Compass pays this, or what we pay Compass, can be reduced in some instances if they don't meet the goals that we set for them. So there's skin in the game is what I'm saying. They have an obligation to retain staff. And then, of course, we want to celebrate as a team with our employees. You're going to see us, and dare I say, you're going to hear us, celebrating from time to time. Parties, gatherings, random recognition, things that contribute to a positive employment culture will happen at Friends Homes throughout the year. Starting with, I think our next one is we'll be doing Friendsgiving, which is a big Thanksgiving meal together. All of our employees coming together for a nice Thanksgiving meal. Our goal is to foster an environment that attracts high-quality, talented, and passionate staff. We believe that that is a good goal for Friends Homes. And we're going to reinvest in our community. So at Guilford, we have some earmarks for a new physical therapy space. Won't that be nice? Hopefully we have privacy. We can encourage privacy, appropriate equipment, all new therapy space, new corridor. That will extend into the salon, where we will refresh and provide to you a very nice salon below Whittier. We set aside some money for the Fox living rooms, similar to what we did at Woolman. And there's a big roof replacement coming for Hobbs. Is that Mark over there? No more waterfalls at Hobbs on the inside. That's not the type of water feature that you want in a community like ours. In West, we're going to continue the walkway around the pond. And soon, if you haven't already received word, we're going to close the pool and we're going to refinish the pool deck to hopefully, in theory, make it a little less slippery for your safety. Yay!
Shower room, too.
Easy now, Diane. You have to be careful of those showers. Raised garden beds. We're looking at moving the raised garden beds to a nicer location. Or perhaps we could even have more. And the main entrance restrooms here, you know the restrooms across from security? We think it's time to give them a facelift. It's been a little while. And that's our first impression for guests. So we want to make sure that that looks nice. We are looking at, and we have money set aside for a new bus, a 32-passenger, hopefully with an air ride. So you don't need a chiropractor after every long-term trip. We had a plan for a chiropractor, but we cut it. We said we're going to get a bus instead. Yeah, so we're researching. We actually went out to a community about 2 weeks ago, I think it was, out in the Durham area. We rode on a bus. I'll be honest, we weren't that impressed. So we're going to continue to look. Something, we've extended an offer to an AC technician, somebody who is certified and able to do all kinds of AC work. Specifically, that's all he'll do. We have a lot of air conditioners at friends' homes of varying ages and quality and useful life. We spend a lot on repairs and preventative maintenance, and we're at a point where we believe it makes good financial sense to hire somebody, and that's all they will do. We have purchased a new van. You might have seen Mark zipping around town in it. There's a lift on it. It's electric. It's a white Ford, and it'll be able to hold all the tools and the AC units if we need to. But we believe that this will pass on long-term savings to our community. And we're buying sales a new car. Now, it's a Toyota that they're using now, and those things run forever, but it's time. We're just about at 200,000 miles, so it's time for a new one. And then apartment renovations. Look, apartment renovations, they make up the majority of our CapEx budget. Remember, it's just over $5 million, and we could approach close to $2 million in apartment renovations. I think we earmarked about 1.6, but you just never know. So a large amount of money is spent on apartment renovations. We don't see that slowing down. And everybody still with me? You still? Okay, home stretch, folks, home stretch. Can have you stand up and do jumping jacks just to get the blood flowing. We have a lot to be proud of at Friends Homes. I know I am so thankful every day that I am here with you and with this fantastic group of leaders and staff. And so I just want to take a moment to recognize and celebrate as a community. These are some of the projects that were completed over 2025. The Woman living rooms, the entrance landscaping, reading room refresh, the elevator jack, exterior building signage. Does anybody miss the cracked, dripping red signage that was outside of Guilford? Anybody nostalgic for the old red and white? No, we replaced it with nice new branding. And at West, all the elevator replacements. That was $1.2 million worth of elevator replacements. The healthcare AC updates. Now, you all may not appreciate that now, but if you ever needed assisted living or skilled nursing, you will very much appreciate the ability to control your air conditioning. Up until this summer, folks weren't able to control it. The temperature was whatever the temperature was. That's no longer the case. You have your own individual control of the air conditioning. Lobby refresh. I know everybody didn't love it, but it's fresh and it's new, and it is nice, and we're happy with it. Coble's floor replacement. Not the most fun thing to do, but it's something that had to be done, and it was a big project. I want to take a moment to thank you all who were patient with us as we completed that process, because it was disruptive. We had to make a lot of changes, so thank you. Our AV updates and our Hub TV. Some people like it, they think it's fun, and some people think it was a waste. Well, you know, that's something could be said about a lot of the things that we do here. But we think we're going to have some fun over the coming few years, especially March Madness. Unless your team doesn't win, and that's another story. Okay, and then the Grab Bars project. That's something that we committed to. We set money aside. It was a big project, and we're glad that we were able to do that. There's also some pending projects you need to be aware of. The Ruth Dining Room refresh. We're still waiting for one of our permits. We hope to have it this week or next, so we can really get going quickly on progress. Bocce courts, they're working on it right now. Hoping to open those maybe towards the beginning of November. Catering equipment. It's time to refresh some of our equipment. It's getting pretty beat up, so we made a purchase. The Dogwood Deli deck was just finished. Anybody see it? What do you think? You like it? I was able to see it yesterday. I was like, oh, this is pretty nice. I should do this at my own house. We spent $4.7 million in CapEx this year. That's money that was reinvested into the community. That's a lot of money. And somebody said, you know, it seems like you get a little excited about that. I don't know if that's appropriate that you get excited about that. I am unapologetic about that number. That is such an important number. That we as an organization have a board who budgets for this, and that we have a budget that not only helps our community to be successful and in good repair, but also helps us to thrive for the future and maintain our community in an appropriate way. I've had the opposite. I've worked for companies where they don't do that, and it is painful for everybody involved. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of the $5 million that we'll spend in the upcoming year, because it's going to set us up for success in the future, and you will all benefit from it. Okay, community success. We hosted the Contura Olympics for the first time. We raised $18,000 from the Friends Homes 5K. We had a sock hop, Harvest Fest, Spooky Spooktacular, Hanukkah and Passover events, participated in the Contura Artists Showcase. Anybody go to these? Yeah. Hey. We implemented a new program called Triple Seat, which allows us to book rooms and book catering events. It keeps us organized and effective. We improved communication via Icon, the connection, the social media platforms. There's still work to be done. We recognize that. It's still human-driven, and it's an imperfect science. But we think we've continued to grow in that area. We reorganized the campus life department with new leadership structure. More to come with that. We improved the move-in process through orientation and dedicated staff and creating new systems for how we do that sort of thing. We refreshed the Ruth and Coble's menu. It took a lot of time and resident input. We collaborated well with the residents, I would say. We launched a new book club for aspiring mid-management employees who seek to grow locally. We hosted multiple employee events enhancing our community culture among staff. We have the most famous Christmas party in Contura, I am pleased to say. We have a lot of fun with our staff. And we hosted staff versus resident tournaments, pickleball and volleyball. I'm sad, you might be happy to say, the residents won both, but we're coming back for more. We're coming back for more. Don't rest. We're coming for you. Sales completed 421 tours, 3,683 phone calls, and welcomed 36 new residents to our community. Keep in mind, we didn't have a sales counselor for a few months, so that's the team really coming together. In 2024, we established an employee scholarship fund and awarded 3 scholarships, but this year, we were able to award 5 scholarships, so it grew. Great. Through the generosity of our residents. In 2024, we averaged 285 temporary agency staffing hours in healthcare. That's a lot of temp staff. We reduced the average hours to 70 in Q4 of this year. That is huge. We were relying on temporary staff to provide a lot of healthcare here. And now, we're relying on less and less and less. Our goal is to eliminate temporary staff, and we are well on our way. In 2024, we had 36 healthcare open positions in August. The following year, in August, we were down to 10. I believe that number's gone down even further since. In 2024, we had 0 financial assistance programs for our employees who needed emergency help. Maybe they got evicted. Maybe something catastrophic happened at their house and they need help. Well, in 2025, we created an employee financial assistance program, and it's funded by auctioning off or selling donated items that typically come from residents. So now we're building up a fund to help our employees who may have some emergency need. We hope that you, the residents, will help us with that project. There is a need for volunteers. So final thought. Last year I ended with this, and I think it's appropriate to end every year with our mission. This is a shared mission. Guided by Quaker values, Friends Homes offers a life plan community that encourages a sense of wholeness, wellness, purpose, and security at a fair cost, so that each resident may live a fulfilling life. The budget allows us to achieve this mission for Friends Homes. So I want to thank everybody who is involved. The residents, the staff, the directors, the board of trustees, they all helped to make this budget a reality, and so I want you to know how very thankful I am for the role that you all played. I believe that the future is bright for our community, and look forward to a successful year together. Well, thank you. That was a lot. We have recorded, and we will put this on Icon as soon as possible. We have a few folks with microphones here that will be happy to give an opportunity to ask a question. Does anybody have a question? Just one second. We're going to wait for the microphone. But that's a great question. Thank you, Sue.
Just, how, is there a process by which residents can tell you when they have items they wish to donate to help this employee's fund situation?
Would it be to contact Steve? This guy right here. He's your guy. And he's working. There's a few residents who have volunteered to start exploring ways to really ramp up the program. I don't know that we're there yet. I mean, if you'd like to say a few words, I certainly.
Yeah. I think really we've got a couple of leaders established, and so it's a process of going through, making sure we've got all the logistics lined up, and we have started auctioning items for employees. So that's as simple as finding the item, taking a picture, getting that message out to employees. We've had several items purchased. So that's benefited our employees to be able to get things less expensively than they can otherwise. And we still do donate some items to charitable organizations. We try pretty hard not to throw things away, but there are items that we throw away when it's pretty obvious that we can't either donate them or repurpose.
With all these additional and folks coming here, where the hell are they going to park?
Your spot, Derek. We're not creating new apartments. We're replacing existing apartments. And so that's an imperfect science, Derek, as you know. We've talked about parking. Short of building a parking garage somewhere, which I just don't think is in the cards. We just need people to be considerate of others, and we need to, pay close attention to vendors at times. Our request to residents is if you see something, say something. If you see something that's not appropriate when it comes to parking, report it to security, and security will respond. So we're not growing by 47 units. We're renovating the existing apartments, and folks will come in to those places. Sue, you had a question. You asked for an update on the Ruth dining room. We're waiting. We've demoed a lot, and we're in a little bit of a standstill, waiting on a permit to continue progress. We've gotten about as far as we can get to this point, but once we get that permit, which we expect to arrive next week, we're going to go gangbusters as much as we can to keep that progress going. So when we have really tangible updates for the Ruth, we will share that. We shared at Town Hall earlier this month. We'll give another update at Town Hall this first Wednesday of November. So more to come.
And Jordan, just to jump in on that, the permitting timing was anticipated. So this wasn't unforeseen. It's not like we're sitting around doing nothing. They're actually doing a lot of work, kind of a lot quieter work, a lot of things behind the scenes. So we knew this was coming. We're saving those tasks for this permit review process. So we're aware, as long as it doesn't stretch out for more than 2 weeks or so, we're well on track and on schedule.
Under dining, I think the word was consistency. In the past, something new appears on the menu, new to me. I give it a try. I say, ooh, yum, I want to order that again. The next time.
Yeah, Charlie, you're not alone. I've had the same experience. You know what I loved? What's the corn chowder? Right? And I would order it every time I was at Coble's, but it wasn't always the same. So we know that you're right, 100%. And sometimes it's a matter of it's a different person making it, and so the comment is always, well, aren't there recipes? Yeah, there's recipes. There's recipes for everything. Our challenge is always human behavior related, so we're acutely aware. It's on. You just have to hold it close. It's on. Just hold it close.
Will residents have access to transportation for the COVID vaccine since it wasn't given here?
Yeah, if you need access, if you need transportation, just ask, just like any type of transportation that you might need.
Will it be free?
I don't know, what do we do now for that? Don't we go to CVS? Do we go to CVS now? And do we go to Harris Teeter now? How many people go food shopping at Harris Teeter?
The bus won't hold everybody.
Well, we wouldn't do it all at once, Miss Knight, right? There's a lot of people, 460 of them. We wouldn't take them all in one bus. Yeah, we are happy. Look, when it comes to pretty much any service, and we would love to take you. If we feel like we need to get a bus, we'll get a bus. If we feel like we need to do individual, we'll do individual. Happy to accommodate. You would let us know. Just let us know.
Jordan, I'll jump in. If you plan on going to Harris Teeter, you can just sign up an icon, and transportation knows how many people have signed up, and we can provide for however many register. We'd be happy to do that.
And I personally checked with Walgreens, CVS, Harris Teeter. You can go online and you can sign up for your vax if you need to. I thought I saw a hand of Chris. You had it.
You have piqued my interest in the trailer on the pond, so I'm happy to acknowledge that we've been waiting for it for a while. Can you give a brief description, time frame, and every other detail?
Well, we're starting with cement, and then we'll dig a hole. No, I don't think we're at that point yet. But this is something that we've heard from residents. You've been an advocate. And we've known that this is something that we need to do. We had some other things that got in the way of that, but we'll get it going this year. So how about more to come? Okay. I wish I had more details for you. That'd be a lot more fun.
And I'm the only one who hasn't added anything, so to add to that, I'm over here. I saw everybody looking that way, but normally a good guess. But during that project, we're also looking to connect the sidewalks around West Campus, West Neighborhood, so that there's a full loop where you don't have to cross into the road.
That goes firmly into the request response category. Ms. Betsy.
I have a small question about the dining plans. I don't pretend to understand why there's more than one, but I certainly don't understand the logic that says some plans can roll their additional units left over. They can roll them over. Other plans can't, and I don't see what the difference is.
I think the person who has the most historical reference on this is Matt, and I'm going to provide him with the very popular task of explaining.
So much for ending on the good note. Make sure to clap. So initially, going way back, the dining plan was a punch ticket. So it was a ticket that you literally physically got punched when you went in. That's when we offered buffet, cafeteria style food. And so what could happen was you could roll over a certain amount of those, and at the end of your allotment time, you could convert unused punches into guest meals. And so through COVID, and it coincided with the change to a la carte dining, we switched to the declining balance, which is what you have now, because if I wanted to go eat under the old plan, I would lose a meal if I went and got a cup of soup and a dessert, or if I went and had 3 steaks. No matter what I ate, it was one meal. And so it's not really fair and equitable to everybody. It's also not the best way to account for how to plan for food, what we buy, what we prepare. So we transitioned to the a la carte plan. And rather than come in and say, hey, I know you signed a contract with us, we're changing it, sorry about your luck, we let people choose if they wanted to convert. And so in doing that, we're able to offer more flexibility to the people that did convert. People that move in only have the option of the newer plan. And so those plans, to make that more appealing and more appealing to the new to the people who want to convert, we offer more flexibility with that. And so the added flexibility is a perk of the new plan, in exchange for it being a lower amount total. Does that answer your question? I know it's kind of.
Well, not that precisely, but.
You got the full history on it.
So you can still roll over your credits. It's just a lower allotment.
I think really though, the spirit of why the change was made was we heard from folks that there was a desire for more flexibility. And the new plan provides the flexibility that people were looking for. So you said, I don't understand why this, you said, I don't understand why this change was made, and that's what it was. Because folks wanted more flexibility, so we need to provide a response to that. That's all it was.
Yeah, so the old plan was pretty rigid. It still is pretty rigid. So if anybody's on the old plan and is interested in changing, you can do so. You cannot change back, but you can change if you consider that. And a good metric of that is to talk to Christy Summey, talk to Angela Conwell about how many of your credits are going unused each quarter, and she can tell you there's a magic number of, if you change, you're going to be better off.
I'm happy with my current plan.
If you're happy, then I'm happy, and you stay on that plan as long as you like it.
You just want to know why. It's a good question. Yeah. No, Betsy, it's a good question. I venture to.
350 credits left over.
Right.
And then they say, no, some people can do that, but not you.
That's right. That's right. Okay, any other questions? Did we answer? Some people are trapped in the middle. They couldn't leave if they wanted to. Any last chance for questions? Ms. Jones.
I think a lot of the success that we've had here is due to some of these people sitting over in the corner and some other people spread around the room. And I think it would be nice if we thanked all of them for making this such a great place to live.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining today and participating. If you have any questions regarding this, please stop by, email, call. I'd be happy to discuss further. We'll be sticking around a little longer as well. Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.